All right, are we live? Are we here in this his house? Are we back? Man, I fell off the planet the last few days. I just got overwhelmed. A lot of challenges, a lot of life going on, but all good. All good. And I'm trying to get back here for a couple more streams. And I put out a couple of videos last few days, but honestly, it was just sort of holding down the ship. I was just focused on other stuff. Christmas rolling around the corner, even though it's pretty basic planning going on over here. Still got stuff going on, things to do, people to see, reasonably speaking. But a lot of people have been talking to me about cryptocurrency in the last, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. And I'm going to answer any questions today about that. I'm going to kind of cover some of the more common things I end up telling people. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to read you a short blog I kind of wrote in my Discord. Where is it? All right. I'm just going to read this short blog. I am a Bitcoin goes to $100,000 believer. And the reason that is, well, on the facts, there's only 21 million coins. Okay, that's not a lot when you think that we have 7 billion people. Is that correct? 7.7? I can't remember. It's far more than 21 million. Far more. Thousands more, So we got to realize how small that number is. And so Bitcoin, it's a very interesting first point of topic because it leads in market cap share. So we should start there. And, what you got to know is many of the Bitcoins have actually been lost. Lots, maybe even up to 4 million. So there might only be actually like 17 million coins. And what's interesting about Bitcoin ultimately in 2020 is it's proven now as a store of value. What is a store of value? It's just like a place I can put my purchasing power alternative from cash in the bank. Because the reason people don't want to put cash in the bank is inflation and low interest rates, right? Maybe 20, 30, 40 years back, you would buy like a bond or a term deposit of some kind where it would be a guaranteed return. And then, of course, now in the more modern times, we have like the stock market. But when you think of store of value, you're thinking more like gold. Okay. And Bitcoin should be recognized not really as an active currency, but as a store of value. And they're different, right? Like cash that we have, it's an active currency. US dollar, it's an active currency. And whereas a store of value is more of like a vault, a holding place, a safety place. And in 2020, like I think Bitcoin, it's at least 10 years old, 8 to 10 years old, 12 years old. It's really hard to convince people that Bitcoin is worthless, right? Because some people say like, oh, you can't even touch Bitcoin. How can it be worth so much? They don't really understand the technology. And we're at the point now where Bitcoin is very respected. And if you don't want to believe in Bitcoin, that's absolutely fine. I think there's more than enough people already 100% bought in. I don't think you'd be able to convince them it's not a good idea. And what makes Bitcoin special is it's sort of the first to market blockchain-based value coin that people look to as its pure form and focus and function is to hold money, right? Because Ethereum has nothing to do with holding money. Just because you can buy the Ether token, it's not about that. Bitcoin has built a brand. Bitcoin is a brand, not a technology. Blockchain and ledger-based recording is the technology. And there is a group of people who believe that the technology is very, very good. Why it's so good, and I guess we can allude to that, is because essentially what it is you cannot really steal, technically speaking. You can be hacked, I guess. You could lose your password, but everything is very secure, right? And when you own some Bitcoin, you are recorded in the ledger, which gets grouped into the blockchain as permanent store data. And this is a very unusual way to think about holding money because it's really just theoretical, but if I hold the private key that unlocks that fragment of Bitcoin, it is worth something. And we can argue if it's worth 25K or 2K or $2. It's all up for debate. Right now, we think closer to 25K. But you have to remember, it's a brand. So we can move on in the world without Bitcoin just fine. We will keep blockchain, but we may get rid of Bitcoin. We don't need it, maybe. Maybe something better, smarter, faster, cheaper, better. Okay, so you have to understand the context of Bitcoin, but ultimately, it's like the new gold. Okay, so people, they like gold, because it's finite. There's only so much. And technically, it's fungible, right? Meaning we can chop it up into smaller pieces. And that's a very important thing when you're talking about trading sort of a monetary valued item. That's why, we have dollars and cents. It's fungible, technically. Each piece is the same, technically. No Bitcoin part is worth more than a Bitcoin. No gold is worth more than other gold, unless its purity is in question. So Bitcoin is a leader. It's a brand. And every day it becomes easier and easier for the average person to purchase it. That's important. Because one of the difficult things was being able to buy your first Bitcoin. That was really difficult. And it's getting easier and easier, including the big announcement that PayPal is now going to offer Bitcoin, buying and selling. That's huge. Really, really, really huge. It's going to be so simple. I remember in 2000, when eBay was introducing us to PayPal, it was incredible. It was just the most amazing thing. And now here we are again, 20 years later, PayPal again, possibly bringing Bitcoin to the masses. Okay, so millions of people are going to now get into the system. That's great news. Now, here's an interesting fact. If you can acquire 0.28 Bitcoin, you will always hold more than 99% of the rest of the world. Right? Because remember we talked about 21 million coins, 7 billion people. So with just 0.28, you become the 1% of the Bitcoin holders. Right? So I started by saying I'm a 100K believer. And I'm trying to explain to you that the demand is heavily increasing. There's a lot more people like me who think that it is going to be worth 100K one day and we're happy to invest and hold. And that's important. You have to have people who are willing to invest and hold. If we're just trading around, we're not sure if it's going to get to 100K. Right? If people believe that, there's lots of people who will put like $1 million into this now and just sit on it and get 3 million in a year or two when it does get to 100K. When I wrote this blog, I was telling people that Bitcoin is at $13,000. This was October 31st. At that time, you needed $3,640 US to purchase the 0.28 Bitcoin. This was the chart back then. So that's about 7 weeks ago. Now, if you're looking at this chart, these represent the price. So the higher it up on the chart is, the higher the price. Now, this was 20,000. And about a year ago, we got into this 13,000 range. And so in October 31st, when I posted this, what I was observing is that we were going higher than this 13K and essentially breaking this downtrend and starting a new uptrend. And given the PayPal announcement, I really think that that makes a lot of sense at this time. That's what I was thinking about. I didn't know where we'd be at where we are today, but I was telling people then, hey, you should really notice this, like this candle here, which shows a very strong price increase and breaking that 13,000 barrier. It suggests that this is no longer sort of this ceiling and it wants to go above it. And that's good because why that's so important is because we were uncertain, right? Imagine like this point over here was the top and this never came in. Like you might still think this downward line exists. But now when you're looking at this, you realize, wow, the price is trending up and this is important. Okay. So back in that first big peak, 2018, like a lot of people became millionaires right then and there. But think of it, every person who was selling and making all that money, 20,000 per coin, someone had to buy that coin. All right. So everyone who bought that 20K top, they've been waiting and waiting, or they sold and lost money. Right. And even after 10K at that time, it went up way too fast. It was like euphoria. Like, do you remember that? It was like in the news, and my mother-in-law was even asking if she should invest. She doesn't even know anything about investing. She's talking about it. It's interesting. And that's when you know, right? That's when they say to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Like, it's not good that people just came into Bitcoin and just wanted to make money off of it. Like, that's not the point of it. It's not meant to be this thing where you make lots of money off it. What's happening right now in our lifetimes, this once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's different than the stock market, is that all the coins have to start at nothing. Because when they start out, they're nothing. How can they claim a huge value? No one will agree with them. So there's lots of people who are willing to like gamble and take chance because they like the coin and what it's going to do. And we're going to talk more about what do different coins do. Okay. But you didn't want people rushing in. You didn't want people being greedy. And ultimately, people sold off. They took a lot of money. A lot of people got super rich, mega millionaires, mega. And what happened is a psychological blow to the industry, right? We went from 20K all the way back down to 3K. It was painful. It was very painful. In fact, I wasn't in the market. I didn't own any Bitcoin at this time. I was in the FOMO thinking, oh man, I missed out. I told my wife when Bitcoin hit 10K, like, hey, we can't avoid this thing called Bitcoin anymore. We have to discuss what it means for us. But didn't get in really. I think I bought a little bit on Coinbase, but nothing serious. I think I bought a bunch of shit coins at some point. I think I lost them all. I think I got hacked. Like, no one knew what they were doing for so long. There were so many security issues, you know? It's easy to steal back then because there was a lack of security and awareness of what was necessary. But this big peak and then this huge crash, it really hurt. But at this price, people said, no way, man. There's no way that I'm going to buy tokens or Bitcoin at 9,000, 12,000, 14,000. But when it comes back to 3 or 5, there's a lot of people who wanted it. And you can say it's manipulation too. You could say that the people who had the most Bitcoin sold tons up here at the 20K mark and that they were the same people who bought it back at 3K. Like, that's part of it, guys. I'm not here to tell you that this market is easy. I'm not here to tell you that. You have to have strong hands. You have to have confidence. You have to know what the technology is so that you can believe in it. Because look at this. Look at this right here. Can you see this? Dang it. This candle right here with this long stick at the bottom, what it means is that the price went down and it went right back up in the same time almost. And that's a suggestion that, somebody lowered the price, somebody manipulated the market, and then they swoop back in and bought it at the bottom when people are scared. Because you can tell it breaches this bottom blue line, which I've drawn a trend line. And so people get scared, right? Imagine you couldn't see these green bars. You'd be like, oh my God, is it going even lower? Yeah, of course you can ask me a question. So we suffered a blow. People it's like they went to the casino and they lost. And they're like, that's stupid. I'm never going to gamble again. But then, it kind of became a meme. And this idea of holding forever arose, and people were spelled holding wrong, HODLER, like hodl. And it's kind of like meme-ish and funny. And it became very interesting to tell everyone in the world that you were going to hold, that you believed long term and that you were going to hold. And so you said it a lot. And that gave people more confidence. Wow, maybe this will last. And that's classic what happens. Price goes up, price goes down. Price goes up, price goes down. And it weeds out all of the non-serious people. And at the end of the day, you're only left with the people who really want it. And that's why the price eventually breaks out and goes higher. This is both in the stock market and in cryptocurrency, any pricing of any commodity as well. All right, so in 2019, we peaked at 13K again, and people wanted to jump back on, okay? But you have to understand, nothing goes straight up. And that's why I won't be surprised, if tomorrow Bitcoin goes down to 20K or 18K. It'll happen fast. It always sells off faster than it goes up, mostly. I won't be surprised at all, and I won't care. It doesn't matter. You have to be in the ups and downs. Like $2,000 up or down, it's not even 10% of Bitcoin. Leverage means you borrow money so you can have more purchasing power than you actually have. No, only my members are allowed to join my Discord, unfortunately. So, where was I? There's always people willing to take a profit. Okay, so price never goes up. At some point, someone's like, I will sell here, because it is very notorious that you cannot guess the top and you cannot pick the bottom. You just don't know. You kind of have to wait and naturally let it happen. Yeah, so leverage is it gives you more power, right? Like you leverage a tool, you're leveraging debt, and it's like they'll let you borrow it, but if you go down too much, they'll make you pay it back right away. Once you get the hang of buying Bitcoin, it's very easy. So you have what's called the public key and the private key. I can give you my public key, and it's like sort of where I live. But without the private key, you're not really getting in the house. The public key, I can tell you where to send me money, but you have no ability to understand my login. My private key is only for me and allows me to access my coins via its location in the blockchain. You never physically have anything in your hand. You have a private key that unlocks your ability to use the coins. This is all very new to people. And so when you want to purchase a Bitcoin or send someone a Bitcoin or receive a Bitcoin, you will give them your public key. And when you're buying it, you might have to enter that. When you're transferring it, you might have to enter that. You could all go put your Bitcoin wallet in the comments right now, and I could pick one person and send you some Bitcoin. But no one can hack you just because you put your public key in the comments. I wouldn't buy it today unless you're like definitely going to hold it for the next 12 months. If you're looking for like a trade, I think it's a bit oversold right now or overbought. And I think you should wait. I think it will come back to 20K. I will purchase more if it comes back to 20K. And why? Because once a commodity, we'll go over to the weekly chart. It's a little bit more granular. We were looking at the monthly chart before. See, once a price breaches a key level of resistance, it actually becomes the floor. That's very, very common. Very, very common. Now, what you might expect to see is something like this. $20K could become this incredible floor that people are just like, I will buy more at 20K. I am convinced this is going to 100 at some point. I am good with 20K. Like, this is not going back to 16K, guys. Let's get it at 20. Let's not be stupid. Do you know how many hedge funds want to buy Bitcoin right now, but they can't because their investors would go crazy because it's speculative? Trust me, the big boys are coming in. They're coming in fast, and they're not just coming into Bitcoin. They're definitely coming into Chainlink, Ethereum, some of these other things. There is always going to be a dip. And you want to be in the mind frame that you love dips because you believe, you think it's going higher. Like, that's the point of investing. You think it's going higher. So like, why wouldn't you want to buy a dip? Because that's just people taking profits. They need to sell off a bit. It's not going lower. It's just the price is evening out a little bit. You like it when it goes down because it's actually on sale. But not many people can learn to think about the market like that. They feel very scared. And I used to feel very scared as well. It took time. But you'll notice right here, like back in 2013, it got to $1,200 and it sort of made this like slightly slanted floor, right? It's very close. It's not too far off. It's not like this huge uptrend. So that's very real in what we would call, they like to say that price has memory. Stock prices have memory. Currency prices have memory. And it's like, there's always people who will buy when it goes lower, and there's always people who will sell when it goes higher. What you ultimately need is big institutional investors, insurance, pensions, hedge funds. They have to come in spending $100 million and going in. And when they want to buy that much, it puts a lot of pressure upwards on the price. So they buy it in small chunks. That's why the run the other day was at night. Okay, so let's look at the hourly chart and let's just see what time the stock was going up or the Bitcoin was going up, right? Let's see. Started going up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. A little bit earlier, 2 a.m. Who the hell's buying at 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.? Well, I guess it can be Asia, but that actually doesn't matter that much. The point is, the way these things go way up in price is because institutional buying. And that's why you see back down here, these lines that stick up. These represent volume. How many coins were traded at that time? Right here, there was 2,000 coins traded at this moment. 1,500. So 2,000 is a lot, right? Because it's 2,000 times 20,000. So where does that leave me? Where does that leave me? Yeah, I'm talking about institutional investing here with PayPal, and Square recently purchased 50 million. Some other people are buying a lot. Let's talk about some other currencies. Primarily, Ethereum is the first one you need to understand if you're not aware of it yet. Ethereum came out after Bitcoin. Let's go to their website. Ethereum, a global open source platform for decentralized applications, also known as dApps. On Ethereum, you can write code that controls digital value, runs exactly as programmed, and is accessible anywhere in the world. So Ethereum is more like the internet. It's like the internet, not anything on the internet. It's like the internet for decentralized applications. And many things would like to become decentralized. What are the pros and cons of decentralization? The pro is that there's no middleman charging a fee. It takes the middleman out because the way blockchains work is they use multiple nodes to verify the truth of something. And if it can be verified, they agree upon it. And if it could be agreed upon, it could be written in the ledger and documented into the blockchain. And this is the system for helping other people create these things. And this is very important. The internet is very important for Facebook and Instagram and Google and YouTube and all these other websites. Well, Ethereum will be very important for decentralized applications. Now, there's some question about the longevity of Ethereum and is it really positioned well for the next 25 years? It's probably true. You know, Ethereum, the token called Ether, is currently worth 642 American dollars. And if we take a look at more of a monthly chart, you'll see something similar to Bitcoin, but not quite. We'll go over to Bitcoin now. A little bit longer of a life. But Ethereum really came on the market in 2016, and it quickly established itself in Bitcoin's run. It got up to the $1,400 mark. Now it's about half of that at 640. We're looking at the logarithmic scale, so can't always tell so much how much things have gone up. But it sometimes gives you a better sense of the price. So why do people look at these charts is because you can see psychology. You can see psychology. Let's go over to a few stocks really quick, just so we can kind of sort of prove our thesis here. Let's go to a stock like Netflix. Let's see what's going on with Netflix. You can see some elements here, like I was talking about, that once you breach the ceiling, it becomes the floor. So that's a good example of that. Let's take a look at Google. Okay, so what you have here, this little location right here, this is sort of a symbol of longevity, of really sort of strong potential growth. This is sort of what you'd call the cup and handle formation. It's this nice long multi-month sell off, and then a lot more confident buyers coming in, getting rid of some of these weaker buyers. Price quietly retreats on slightly lower volume and then begins to climb. Of course, that was the $200 mark for Google, now at the $1,700 mark. Let's try to find a few more. We can go over Amazon. Can we see? Yeah, we can see something very similar here, right? What are these called? Is called a base. And a base keeps the power of a stock momentum, sort of setting it up for a more explosive growth. And, this is a good pattern. Let's see if we can see some of the other patterns. There's Apple. DocuSign as of late. You kind of still see something similar here. It really carves people out and then sort of explodes out of that. And you have to also reconcile. Oh, here's a good one. You have to reconcile that some stocks are for dividends and some stocks are for growth. And it's a very different mentality why you would buy those kinds of stocks. Dividends pay you income. Your stock isn't really meant to go up and down, and that's just fine. Growth stocks, you're hoping for the share price to go up in value. Thus, the equity you have has higher value. This is called the double bottom. And it's also sort of a very good, similar chart to the cup and handle. It's almost like two cup and handles in one. And why I'm mentioning this to you is because people look at these charts to try and see some element of where is the sentiment going? Where do people foresee price going? Are they bullish? Are they bearish? And not just the price, right? It's very important that you look at the volume, right? Look how much volume started coming in here for Home Depot and really setting this bottom in place. Like people were ready to buy this bottom here at the $28 mark. And look, it's up to $270 now. 10 years later, no doubt about that. But some of these companies, they take quite a long time to play out. And amidst all of this, you have the news, right? So some people don't listen to the news and some people do listen to the news. I don't think it's good to listen to the news. I think that if you're hearing something on the news, you're far too late. Like you're not going to hear about Chainlink on the news for another 6 to 12 months, if that. So it's far early in that. You hear Bitcoin being talked about, right? It's part of the public domain. So we were talking about Ethereum, and I was just kind of quickly giving you a sense of the charts. But I'd like to speak about Chainlink a little bit at length so I can sort of leave my thesis here and be done with it. Let me go back to the chat before I dive into Chainlink. I have a question too. I would like to buy some Link now, but I'm not sure if it's smart because I need to buy Bitcoin first and I could get more if the price drops down. Okay, so maybe you can buy USD Tether, which is basically a coin that helps you transition to other coins. If you're going to buy Bitcoin, it doesn't really matter because let's say you buy $2,000 of Bitcoin right now. As long as you go sell that Bitcoin to go get your Link, you're going to get the same amount. It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin you really got. What you did was you bought $2,000 of purchasing power through Bitcoin. You're going to send that into Link. So I don't think you have to wait if you're really going to buy right away. It's not going to make much of a difference. And honestly, the sooner you get into Link, probably the better. Do you know if there's anywhere where you can buy without a social security number? I think so. And you can always buy from someone privately. I can sell you Bitcoin if you want to PayPal me. I mean, I might have to charge you a small fee to do all the work, but nothing stops us from doing that. Now you have to trust me. And see, that's where it gets interesting. But is it much different than you trusting these other sites that have actually been hacked because they inappropriately set up the security system? So, that's questionable as well. And so that's why when you buy coins and you leave them on the site that you bought them on, that just means that that site has your private key and they get the coins for you when you tell them to, right? That's not the best idea. And so that's why if you have enough and you care, they say like people, when Bitcoin was worth $10 or people are treating Bitcoin as if it's worth $10 the way they're securing it when they should really be treating it like it's worth $1 million. And how would you treat it if you had $1 million, right? You take care of it. And that's why you purchase something like this. It's called a ledger. And you store your private key in here. And that basically means your coins are in here. And then there's some special ways that you can recover your coins if you lose them. They give you this piece of paper. And when you sign this system up, you get 24-word phrase like duck, cow, ball, hammer, light, that kind of thing. And as long as you have those words, you can always get your coins back, even if you lose your ledger, which is called a cold wallet. See if there's any more questions. Link is the symbol for chain link. Are you sure you need Ethereum to trade for Theta? Maybe you do. It could be. What's my portfolio for stocks? Well, I've been investing a little bit uniquely because I'm trying to buy a house. And we have a program here that if you put money into your retirement, you can take that money out for your house without tax. So I've been kind of playing a tax-based strategy right now, but I like to pick stocks. I'm a very good stock picker, I think. I made a lot of winning trades this year. I was in on Palantir from day one. I even said on my Instagram story, and of course, that's rocketed up. We can take a look at some of my big picks this year. I was a big Peloton believer, made a lot of money on that. Probably could have made more. I'm not in that trade anymore. Where is that Palantir? Booyah. I bought my Palantir around $9, $10, went up to 25, still trading it. So I like trading because I'm pretty kind of good at predicting both the future in terms of culture, because I'm sort of a digital media expert, and also looking at charts and sort of just having an early adopter's mentality. Of course, I was a big believer on Tesla. I think I sold my shares after the split. It was a huge price increase. I think where was it? The split was right here. So, I probably got in around somewhere around here and got out here. So you can never get the whole thing, right? Unless you're going to hold for the long term. We're talking about trading right now. And I think that trading's fun and it's a kind of a interest. It's a challenge. But honestly, you do want to get into like dividend stocks and ultimately have that passive income. I do invest in dividends. And, there's some things like these apartment or real estate trusts, Coca-Cola, AT&T Communications. You're looking to get that dividend payout every quarter and reinvest that. You're obviously trying to reinvest that. So that is sort of the two different styles of strategies. But I kind of look at cryptocurrency as like its own thing, and it's unique in so many different ways. All right, so Chainlink, we'll look at the daily chart. Now, I've been hearing a lot lately that Chainlink is being suppressed, that the founders, they have a lot of tokens still. They're just selling a lot to keep the price low, because they probably want more people to get into the system without it feeling like it's very expensive. But if you can just take a look here at the volume recently, it's, in the last 6 months, it's a great amount of volume. It's really increasing. That's what's important, that it's increasing. We're currently in this sort of what you call a wedge pattern. It's also starting to look like a cup and handle, as you can see, and that really could suggest, price is going way, way up, right? It's not crazy that we go to 50 or 100 in the next 12 months once you understand what Chainlink really is. And it's very important to understand the function of each coin as it stands. So when I explain to you, let's go over blockchain again. Let's just get a nice diagram going here. Okay, so we understand that the blockchain technology is decentralized. On the left, you see a server, call it Facebook, call it Google, and all of these devices connect to the cloud, essentially, which cloud just means someone else's computer. All your data is just on someone else's computer, right? So people don't like that. And it causes a need to pay these people up here. In the future, we're thinking more of a peer-to-peer network. Remember, like BitTorrent, it's very similar in that sense. But in this case, if I go buy some Bitcoin right now, I will be recorded in a ledger online. And essentially, we need other, and then basically all the transactions that happen, let's say in an hour, they're going to be bundled into a block. And that's going to be added to the blockchain, a new block. And it gets longer and longer and longer. And basically, each node or system holding the information of the blockchain will start to talk to each other. And once it's confirmed that everyone has the same data, that I bought some Bitcoin and it shows that my public key or private key or whatever is updated, then people will agree upon it and it will be transferred over through transacting one person to another, right? You always have to send the coin from one person to another, one wallet to another. Once enough people agree that they've seen that transaction in the ledger, it becomes confirmed. And so all of the technology kind of stems from that ability that if all these computers can see this data and they agree that it looks the same, then there's a consensus and then we can move on. And then there's what's called mining, right? And let's just see what we can see about blockchain mining. It's a very important element. A peer-to-peer computer process, blockchain mining is used to secure and verify Bitcoin transactions. Mining involves blockchain miners who add Bitcoin transaction data to the ledger. So when that ledger is being moved, there's a computer out there that's job is to add that data, and they will be paid a very small amount of Bitcoin for that job. And so there is a fee. When you send your money, Bitcoin, to another person, there is a small fee. It's much smaller than like a banking fee or like a PayPal fee. But Chainlink, we got to start looking how Chainlink is using the technology. Connect your smart contract to the outside world. If I was to buy this, I'd want to buy it as soon as possible, as much as possible, and sit on it for at least 1 to 3 years. Chainlink has built a decentralized Oracle network, which provides reliable, tamper-proof inputs and outputs for complex smart contracts on any blockchain. So we need to break a lot of this down. I'm going to try. I'm not the expert, guys. I'm not an expert. I'm literally just sharing what I've researched. And I think it's so important. First, you have to know what a smart contract is. A smart contract doesn't actually know anything. Its ability is to create an automated contract based on its inputs. And it depends on what you input, but a smart contract is, we don't really understand smart contracts very well as the average human being. We just haven't understood why we would use it. But it basically facilitates transactions in some capacity or another. And it verifies it and it secures that data. And it's smart because you can use the same contract over and over for all different types of people. And smart contracts are sort of becoming what blockchain's really all about. We are talking about money, and contracts are typically have money involved. And as you know, contracts can be hard to execute, prove, hold up at times. And a lot of the AI and machine learning and computers are going to be doing the contracts in the future, these smart contracts, right? They're not going to need to think. They're just going to need to process. So next I want to tell you what is an oracle. An oracle in this sense, is a data hub. And its job is to have the best high quality data possible. And what you do when you combine oracles with smart contracts is essentially you have extremely safe, high quality data. And that's going to be so critical for smart contracts because there are no humans. And like it says there, reliable and tamper proof. That's very important. And what this is about is taking all the data from the real world and bringing it safely to the blockchain. Right now, the number one thing they do is just price, the price of cryptocurrency. Because when we're working in a blockchain world, how do we really know the price of cryptocurrency? How do we really know it, right? How do we know that our website is up to date? How do we know that this chart is up to date? How do we know? Right? Well, there's some variation. If I look on different sites, it will say slightly different prices. And so how can you have a smart contract when prices aren't even agreed upon? And so the first thing, because we're in a blockchain cryptocurrency and what's now called is decentralized finance, DeFi, it's very important that we get the price of things correct, especially commodities. And so it might also be like the price of water, the price of oil, the price of this, the price is that. And the oracles are what are going to be taking all of this real world data and bringing it into the blockchain. And that is going to be so critical because there's a lot of companies that have data that's not meant for the blockchain. It doesn't really work on the blockchain. It's not needed to be on the blockchain, but it's important data. How do we prove that accuracy so that we can rely on what's happening inside of the blockchain infrastructure? Let's click on Explore Solutions. Universally connected smart contracts. Chainlink connects smart contracts on any blockchain to data providers, web APIs, enterprise systems, cloud systems, IoT devices, payment systems. Like, doesn't that get you so excited? Okay. Connect your smart contract to weather data, sports data, shipping data, asset prices. Look at it. Real world data goes into the Chainlink network of oracles. And I might start an oracle. I might start running these things. Instead of running blogs in 5 years, you're going to be running nodes and oracles. Like, we're going into a new world, guys. It's December 20th. This is the end. The death of fiat currency has begun. We're moving into this game, whether you like it or not. I don't see any way around it because it's better. It's faster. It's better for the modern world. It's more built into the modern world. You'll be walking around and it might be dystopian. It really is. But you'll walk by somewhere and your brain will tell you you want something and your Neuralink will charge your BitLink account, which will then update like what you just bought into your mental operating system. Like, you can't do that with cash. And I don't know if that's a good idea or not. I'm here to talk about Chainlink as an investment ultimately and why I believe it's going to be skyrocketing. So you bring in real world data. That is going to be a critical component. Like, Bitcoin doesn't do anything like this. Bitcoin has just because something's related to blockchain and there's a token involved does not make them equal. This is a completely different system. This could dwarf Bitcoin one day. This could be worth $1 million a coin one day. We can't predict how intense the usage of this is in 20 years. We can't. And what's so important is the Chainlink network can work with any blockchain. What stops someone else from doing this exact same system? Nothing. But they're miles ahead of anyone else. They have the biggest node and oracle network. They have the most partners. They're the furthest ahead. This is going to become sort of like, I don't remember what it was in a younger time, but maybe there's nothing like this. Maybe Facebook, how something sort of radically changed everything and then no one could catch up. I'm not going to touch on GRT, although I'm heavily thinking of buying a small stack of it right now. It's interesting. It seems very modern, and it is an interesting opening price point and potential. But I'm not going to talk too much about it today. I just don't know much about it. Let's talk about the features of Chainlink. Secure Oracle networks for any smart contract. End-to-end decentralization, critical. Provably secure nodes. You will not be hacked if you use the Chainlink system. And one of Chainlink's big marketing things is every time someone gets hacked, they tell you that it wouldn't have happened if you had to use Chainlink. Crypto economic security, high quality data, defense in depth, open source community, blockchain agnostic. The most trusted Oracle network in decentralized finance. The leading source of on-chain randomness. So they also have some other things, but like one of their cool things they can do is provide very real random number generator. Normally that's centralized, right? Like if you go play on PokerStars or like some gambling site, like how do you know? I mean, that it's actually random. And then how would you know it is on the blockchain, right? And so they've come up already with some cryptographically secure and provably fair on-chain randomness, RNG, random number generator. And so they're already leading for games that require any element of randomness. Almost every game uses some elements of randomness in different elements. And so they're already a leader in this. Connect your smart contract to all real-world data and events. Easy blockchain adoption for enterprise. Guys, we're talking about enterprise business. This is big. Big. Governments and enterprise needing to go 100% into blockchain, make a huge investment. You still don't even understand the token yet. I haven't really explained it. Why are you buying the Chainlink? Well, every time a node or Oracle sends data, it will cost money. Okay? And so every time more smart contracts are added to the system, there will be a need for more oracles. This is going to be growing like crazy. The more oracles, the more Chainlink will be needed to spend to run the oracles. Okay, are you starting to follow me here? The more smart contracts we need in this world, the more oracles we're going to need proving the data and checking the data and verifying the data, which is going to create an increasing amount of demand for the Chainlink token, which is the gas. Gas means like a fee for using the system. All of these massive companies, they're going to want to be blockchain proof. They're going to be 100% secure. They're going to be Apple moving to blockchain. Netflix moves to blockchain. JP Morgan moves to blockchain. They are all going to require Oracle networks that run the Chainlink token and system. There is nobody else competing at this level. It's much better to buy Chainlink than Bitcoin. I don't buy Bitcoin anymore. I bought my 1% amount. I'm putting all my money every month into Chainlink right now. Chainlink provides enterprises and governments with numerous ways to leverage the benefits of blockchain technology without re-architecting their current systems. And we haven't even begun to move into this world quite yet, but they are quietly doing it. And when they realize what they want to do, they go to Chainlink. Let's go on to Twitter. It's very important to also look at the marketing of a cryptocurrency because it needs to be convincing to people that it's good. right? People need to believe in it and trust it and then see how it works and adopt it. Let's just go through their official Twitter to see if anything stands out to me. Let's go to the CEO's page. Sergey. Tamper-proof smart contracts are reinventing how every financial contract that needs to be trusted will work. Stay with me here. I'll show you some interesting things as we go through this. I'm going slow. I want to build up to it. Just look at a statement like this. It's becoming clear that Chainlink is the best Oracle in DeFi applications. How big do you think DeFi is going to get? It's going to be gargantuan. People are going to love trading in a blockchain environment. Once they get there, they're going to love it. I think there are basically three key factors, and they vary between the average consumer and the institution: impending inflation, monetary policy, decentralized finance. These are all elements that are leading towards the growth in cryptocurrency right now. Like, people know inflation is crazy bad right now because of the $6 trillion and $4 trillion stimuluses in the United States. Like, that's not good for the US dollar, and people don't want to take the inflationary hit. Here's what's get interesting about Chainlink. The entire Chainlink fan base makes memes, and they make memes with the frog, and they're funny and they're serious and they're powerful. This gets attention, okay? And what's very cool about Chainlink as well is they tell you what level you're at based on how much you have. Where do they do that? I can't remember, but it's kind of cool because you kind of feel like you've leveled up because you have more. Anyways, it says level marine. Anyways, the most important thing about Chainlink is never selling. And that does make a lot of sense because it's just going to get more and more valuable. Okay, let's see what some of the memes are coming up here. So you see a lot of memes from this one person, but there are many people doing all sorts of stuff like this. And I was so amazed when I realized how passionate this audience is. And that is something that is unusual and interesting. See if I can find any. Oh, I love this character. I actually don't know who this really is, but she says she's a multimillionaire from Bitcoin. I don't know, but she made this video back in July 2018 when Link was only 23 cents, and she was explaining to everyone. She's quite a funny tweet person, but let's read some of her. They do stuff like this. She has some funny ones. Chainlink will blow the toupee off Elon Musk in the next 12 months. Screen cap that, Tesla tards. Well, I never saw her write this before. If you dig deep enough into Chainlink, you'll find its origins are from before Ethereum. Dig deeper and you'll find the idea originated before smart contracts. Dig even deeper and you'll find Link was conceptualized the week of Bitcoin's creation. Where does it say that? don't see that, but anyways. Junko thinks Link is going to 81,000. I mean, she's kind of a meme about it, but it's just like that kind of stuff really influences people and they're more likely to buy and hold. Whether or not, adoption happens. But adoption is happening, and I think it's happening fast. And one of the things I wanted to show you guys, I like chainlinkgod.eth. Let's see if he has it. Okay, here's a good thing he likes to post. 77 smart contract uses by Chainlink. Okay. Look at these areas. DeFi, payments, gaming, insurance, enterprise, supply chain, utilities. Do you think even like 5% of people have gotten into this yet? Like, this is going to be fucking massive. So there's a lot here. You really got to go into Twitter and kind of see what's going on in this world. And there's a lot. But there's something I really like to share to people. And I'm going to leave it on this. What makes Chainlink so fascinating and its token is that, it requires the integration of other businesses. And what's been very evident is the number of growing integrations. It's increasing a lot. And look at this, 360 integrations as of today. That's very early, but that's a lot. With every integration, they will become more stronger, more long-term. Let's take a look at this. These are all the companies that have signed on so far. And this is just going to keep growing. More and more people are going to require Chainlink, Google. Okay, we've only begun. This could be worth so much more. I mean, I was telling my wife, like, we can become a millionaire off this. It's very possible. Like, within a very short period of time. And some of the reasons I think so is I think the price is being suppressed. I think it's going to explode. I think it's going to happen so fast. You got to be ready. We could go back down to $8. We could break this trend for one more year and this could all be delayed. I could see that. And I'm fine with that. It's okay. But I mean, $13 today, I do see this 10xing at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, if not 100xing in the next 5 to 10 years. I just think what we're going to see is such massive exponential growth that is actually primarily based on integration. If you've ever heard of this automation tool in digital marketing called Zapier, it sort of connects to everything. Once you get Zapier, you almost can't get out of it. And we're talking about a system that's going to be like taking tokens. Like, you got to go to the arcade and you got to put more tokens in if you want your machine to work. And that we're talking about years and years and never ending and until a new technology comes. But we're talking 100 years of blockchain technology at least. And yeah, I think that this opportunity, I've never seen anything like it. I'm so surprised other people aren't really sort of jumping in quite yet. I guess some of them are. Again, like I said, it's not easy for institutions to purchase these kind of speculative things. And it is speculative. They could go out of business tomorrow and this could be all worthless, but that's not even close to happening. And they are quickly creating a monopoly in many areas of blockchain. They're becoming sort of this onboarding system that allows you to get going as fast as possible. And they're there to support you. I mean, I'd like to take a look at their industry leading team. So they got about 30 people so far, not the biggest team. But again, they've only been around since October 2019. as far as being, sorry, that's not going to be accurate. That is just when the price goes here. I don't know if that's the actual start date on the market, but they're a younger token. They were started at 20 cents just, a year and a half ago. It's, by the way, Link is the number one performing asset since 2018. Nothing has gone up more than Link in the last 2 years. So people seem to be avoiding that. I'm not sure why. I think what you're going to see here is, how these things work, these sort of wedges, they eventually price out. Either this is going to go up or this is going to go down. Are we going to get a lower high or are we going to get a higher high? Are we going to get a lower low or are we going to get a higher low? That is the question. And I just don't think it goes down. I think, when I was buying this a couple months back, around this $10 mark, I think people really knew, like, when is this thing going to launch? When is this thing going higher? I mean, we've already been to 20 before, similarly like Bitcoin. I think this looks like a slow, steady growth. I do think it can come down to 8. I do think it could. And that would hurt a lot of people. You'd technically lose about 40% of your holding equity-wise, purchasing power. But I think the only reason it goes that low is because it's about to go way higher. And it's like, that is just kind of what you see a lot. Like, let's go over to, say, Tesla. Let's go to the weekly. Look at Tesla here, getting up to 195, selling off hard all the way to 68 and then rocketing back up. You don't think this is on purpose? So you can't be afraid when it goes down if you believe in the technology. How can we measure the value of these coins? Very easily, because you just measure them in what else you can buy. Like, oh, I can buy a car with this many Bitcoins. I can buy corn. I can buy, oil. You just look at purchasing power in terms of other things, and they'll probably come up with a new sort of stable method. I don't know, but that doesn't really matter. That's never mattered. Just because you can't measure it in USD, it doesn't mean that that's value is gone. Do you think Bitcoin will die out with blockchain growing? Yeah. I don't think it'll die out. I think it'll just be what it is, and the whole market will get way, way bigger. Let's go over to coinmarketcap.com, where you can see that Bitcoin has a $439 billion market cap. Where does it say percentage? Market cap and dominance charts. Okay. Where is it? Oh, it doesn't seem like there's much here of use. Bitcoin here, currently at 65% market dominance. Chainlink, 0.78. That's kind of telling. But I just think the technology's there. There's no other coin I see has the most potential. Got a long way to go. But yes, I do believe Bitcoin will just be one part of the overall industry in good time. Just for clarification, how do you store Chainlink? It's stored in your Ethereum wallet. You use your Ethereum address to store the Link token. It'll be inside your Ethereum wallet. Good question. Well, I think that no one knows what this is. And the question is, like, don't invest in something you're not familiar with. Like, can I be honest? Like, that's kind of a silly thing because most people have no idea what the companies really do on the inside? Like, do you really know where Apple makes its money? Do you really know where their profits come from? Probably not. So, yet Apple is going to be a leader, right? And I think it's similar. You may not know the technology, but there are leaders. But when you look at the technology and you look at the history of how technology eats other marketplaces and industries, like you just kind of have to be able to see the future and predict what's going to happen. I mean, you can see what is the feature set. You can see what they could potentially do. What needs to be done is just more people need to spend time creating smart contracts, understanding how that is. And just like you saw in the last 10 years of all these digital agencies or social media companies, like the gap becomes filled. Like there'll be so many companies in blockchain and it's going to be easier and easier to do it. And every company is going to have a consultant who helps them come to the blockchain. Well, that was a wonderful 70-minute talk on cryptocurrency. I think that gives anyone a good start going into 2021. We'll probably do another one of these in the future, but I don't have that much more to say on it. I tried to give people sort of a beginner's ramp up into this world. I will tell you that I own 55% of my cryptocurrency is in Chainlink, 20% in Bitcoin, 10% in Ethereum, and then the rest in things like a little bit in Ripple, a little bit in Ren, Republic, a little bit Stellar Lumens, and I think that's it. But you really don't want too many coins. You're really better off going all in on one or two, not just a bunch of random coins. I think that's more like gambling. All right, so if you enjoyed the stream, make sure you give it a like. You can put a 1 in the chat. Show me that you were here and you're still here. It looks like there's about 13 of you here. Great. Glad you're listening to this chat and hope you learned something. But that's going to do it for today, guys. But you really don't. Good stuff. All right, guys, take care. Enjoy the winter solstice, December 2021 time, this transitionary time. Definitely time to